There you go. Recording is in progress. Welcome, and I'm going to share my screen, maybe. Okay, so I'm hoping that what you're seeing is my screen that says Canva Sandpit.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you so much. So here's Nikita. She is from Front Row Media Solutions and a Canva guru. She's the reason why I use Canva. Thanks, Kate. Good job. So my contact details are on here. I'll share these slides. They're pretty basic. It's just going through sort of where we're up to for today. So our guiding whakatauki, and thank you for humbly accepting my Australianness, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm being appropriate. So ehara taku toa ite toa takitahi engari he toa takitini. How did I go? Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I love the sentiment behind it about saying that our successes are not just ours. It's when we work together that we get the most from things. And I guess that's why we're trying to get out of this course as well, is that connecting to other people, making sure that we stay connected. So for today, what we're looking to get out of it is, if you have questions and it's relating to what we're going through at the time, feel free just to unmute and go, oh, how does this work? Or, you know, ask as you go. It's designed to be interactive. It's the whole idea of it is just trying stuff and seeing what happens. Nearly anything can be undone. So don't stress about that. It's a good time to try. So we're going to be adding, deleting, modifying elements and showing you how to download and print. There's a little bit of trickiness when you're creating infographics because they're longer than a normal A4 page. So just making sure that we adjust those settings so you don't have to print out 5 million copies of things and still have the same result. The soft skills is just getting that confidence and some problem solving amongst ourselves. And then at the end of this, you'll have an infographic that you'll be able to use as an all about me when you're just getting ready to close a case, that you could possibly just go in there, do quick little edits and get that done. So it's good to have a template for those kind of things. And that's certainly one of the ways I use this. So some of the skills that we're going to look at is a zoom view, how to lock things. So I'm sure you've done some kind of editing or some kind of publisher kind of thing, and you go to shift one thing and then something totally completely different moves, and it's annoying and a bit frustrating. So how to lock those things so those things don't happen. We're going to be editing text, copying and pasting some images so that we can use that's relative to these kids that we want to be creating. Adding boxes so that when we print, because you'll see the initial template is black, and if you print it out in black, it's going to be a lot of ink. So how we can sort of get around that but still keep our borders so it looks nice. Grouping and ungrouping elements, downloading, printing, and just some tips and tricks as we go through. So editing the template. So this is the template that we're going to use for today. And I've got the link here. Just a couple of little bit of terminology things that we're going to be talking about, just so that we're all on the same page. Is an element. So when you get into Canva on the left-hand side, and it looks like this. So an element really is just anything that you're adding to your design. It could be a line, it could be a box, it could be these moving arrow things. It could be a picture, it could be a graphic. So an element is just things that we're putting on our presentation, on our infographic. And
in particular, things that are provided by Canva. So if you have your own photos, they'll go into the uploads section. But if the elements is, say, photos provided by Canva, anything that Canva is giving you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Kate. See, it's nice having a resident tech on standby. And down in the bottom right-hand side, when you open Canva, you notice there's a little zoom slider. And that has brought a number of my friends unstuck because they've, in order to, if it's small on your screen initially, I've noticed that people will do, like, particularly if you're on an Apple, you might just do a enlargement in that kind of way, which enlarges your whole screen, not necessarily just the image that you're looking at. And so it takes away some of your editing things. So if you want to see something closer, go down to the zoom down the bottom right-hand side and just make it a bit larger so you can see what's happening. And you can zoom back out to see the whole view, what's in there. So that's your main technology and main stuff that we're looking at now. So Nikita has popped in the chat room the link for the template. So if you guys just click on that link, it should open up in Canva, and it asks you if you want to use it as a template, and say use it as a template. If you have any issues getting to this step, feel free to just let us know how you're going. And I've just stopped sharing my screen just to get out of this presentation.
And Vic, you'll share this, the presentation as a PDF. You'll share that to everyone later so they have them afterwards. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. And the slideshow presentation, it's got a little, I thought everyone loves a certificate, particularly when you're a teacher, right? So I've knocked up a little certificate of participation for the Canva sandpit. Feel free to, edit and put your name in there and go, yeah, I'm a legend now. Here we go. So how are we going with getting to Canva? So I've just shared my screen again, and this is the template that you guys should have somewhat soon. Yep. Can you just give me a thumbs up from your reactions if you have this? Yep. Cool. And how are you going? Excellent. Thanks, Eve. Okay, let's change our zoom so that we can see it a little bit closer. So feel free to just use that toggle on the bottom right-hand side just to get it a little bit, I don't know what you're like, but my eyes like to look at things a little bit larger than its current view. So this is a template.
Also, I'm interrupting you again, sorry.
Yeah, no.
You can also click on that percentage. See how one Vic screen says 60%? If you click on that, it'll open up some preset zooms as well. So if you find the slider, you keep going too big, too small, sometimes it does happen when you're playing, say, on a phone versus laptop, things like that, you can have some preset zoom sort of options as well.
Oh, awesome. So if we have a look, that this infographic is separated into sections through using these lines. And it just makes it easy. So I use this from one of my kids, and it was quite handy to be able to share like this to the teachers when the case was closed. So right now, when you guys open this up as a template, it created a copy for you. So that means this is yours to edit now. So what I'd like you to do is, even if you just add your details here to make this an all about for yourself, or if you have a kid in mind, a case in mind that you're particularly working on now. So if you, in order to edit, so you just double tap or triple tap into that first box and type, and it should type a name that you put in there. You can put the date of birth on there if you want, or not. So the good thing about Canva is that it auto saves, so you don't have to worry about, oh, where did it go, or did it close, or did my internet drop off? So it just saves as you go there. So in this middle section here, there's just some basic things about that child that you might put down that could be important for the next teacher to know.
Yeah, you may have to reload. Like Vic said, it's really good that it does autosave every time you make a change. But if it can't, if it's having a problem, it'll lock the design and tell you so you don't keep working on it. So I just hear with Vix, for whatever reason, it can be an internet issue. It does do that. But in the top left, I know it might be a bit hard to see on her screen because we're sharing, but in the top left, you can see on her screen, it says all changes saved. Do you want to just show that, Vic, as well? See if you can sort of.
It says what, sorry, Keith?
All changes saved up to the left.
So, oh yeah, so just up here.
Yeah, so as long as you can see that, and it says all changes saved, then you're all good. Otherwise, it'll say, yoo-hoo, there's a problem. In which case, you might have to wait for the internet to reconnect, and it will just say that. Or it'll do what Vix did, where it just kind of was like, no, you're locked out. Just reload the page, back to normal, everything's good.
So good to know with that. And then you can change your Zoom settings again according to what you wanted to look at. So are you guys all good with editing the text? Fantastic. If you didn't want something, let's say you want to get rid of this date of birth box, you don't want that in there, just left click on it and it'll put a little box around it with a little draggy thing. And that draggy thing means you can make it larger or smaller. And let's just get rid of it. So a couple of ways you can do it. Nice, easy way is just press your delete button on your keyboard and it goes bye-bye. If you accidentally did something there, there's a couple of ways that you could get around this. You could use a keyboard shortcut, which is Control Z, and it brings it back. Control Z is undo whatever you just did. Or there's some little buttons up the top here next to all changes. You'll see some undo and redo buttons. So that's another way to get things back if you didn't like something that just happened. Let's talk about locking some things and starting to group some of these things together. So these lines, in order to get them lined up, can be painful. They will show you guide arrows, guide lines to see what they're lined up with. But if we didn't want that one to move, so if you all click on that line and up on the top right-hand side, you've got a lock, little padlock. If you press that padlock and it shows up here that this is locked and you can't be edited. So once you lock it, it stays there. So it won't let you select it with other things, and it'll stay there and you won't accidentally move it. If you did want to move it and you're ready to do something with it, you see that it's been selected because there's a little padlock there, and you can, up on the top right-hand side, just click your padlock to unlock it, and then you can move it around accordingly, just depending on what you want to do with that. So let's lock in those lines. And you guys can move about this at your pace, if this is pretty easy for you. So what I'd like you to do now is we're going to take out this roadblocks, and we're going to go to the internet to find a picture that would be able to go in there, nice and easy. So if you're thinking about yourself, go and find an image, just do a Google search in another tab of something that you're interested in. For example, now, am I still scared? Are you seeing a Google page on mine?
Yep.
Fantastic. So for an image, you can do it in a couple of ways. You don't have to save it onto your computer. You can just have it in its current form, right click on it and copy the image, and then go back into Canva, and Control V is paste. So you can resize it, you can shift it around, and then you go, I don't want this one, I want that out. And I want this in here. And it's okay if let me know if I'm going too fast, if you would like me to go over that again, feel free. just have a play. So this is about having a play. So don't feel like you can't, and don't feel like you can't ask questions if you're not quite sure. So you might notice that this image on my screen is too large to fit in that particular size. There's a couple of things I can do. So I can double left click on it. So if I double click on that, I can shift the sizing of what I want. Say, yep, I just want that particular section, and I'm just grabbing the corners where you can see the white corners are highlighted, and then I just click out of it and it's resized that, and then I can change it and put it where I want. So you notice it has these guide arrows that I've said this is sort of in the center of that the next image that's down there, and it's in line here. I'd like to change these words. So I'm going to double tap and I'll say wakeboarding. So it's that easy to modify in there. So you can get anything from the internet. So that's one way, or sometimes you'll find in Canva. So in the more, if you go over to the left-hand side, there's a more button. And something that I found really handy is Pexels. And Pexels is copyright-free images. And if you just click on that, and then you can search for all sorts of things. And these are high quality images that you can use. And I use these a lot in my on my slideshow presentations because it has a really nice, clear, crisp way to finish. I have noticed that it is quite American based. So, you know, trying to find some Kiwi authentic kind of images, you might have to go elsewhere. But if you're talking about collaboration, if you're, you know, just having, let's see if anything wakeboarding will come up. That whole heap of images there. So you could go to the internet, or these are also another way that you could use it. If you wanted, let's say I wanted this one, if I left click on it, it puts it in here for me anyway. So whatever I want, I just click it and it inserts it. And then you just change the size and shift it to wherever you want to go. And
if
let's say
already have a photo, like see how you have your wakeboarding photo already on there, the smaller one you edited earlier. If when you've got this gallery open, if you drag the photo you want and hover it over the wakeboarding image you currently have, it will replace it using the sizing constraints that you've already set. So if you do that, you'll notice that it does that, let go, and now it's replaced it with the same size constraints.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't have to keep mucking about with sizes that you're looking for. Thanks,
yeah,
Pete.
so that's another option as well.
Hey, V, you said that the free pictures on the side here through the most recent ones, that they're nice clear quality.
Yep.
Are they not clear quality when you just upload them straight from the internet? Has that been your experience?
They are as well, but sometimes I found when I was having a look through just doing a Google search on the internet, firstly, you have to make, you know, I'm just mindful about the copyright free. And secondly, how some of the images are used in how they zoom, and it just comes up, it holds up really nice and crisp. So, you know, sometimes just depending on where you get them from, sometimes they're a little bit, just that quality can be varied. So you pretty much know that those ones that are on there are really good to go. So just taking that zoom down a little. So we've looked at how to put in a picture, how to get it from the internet to put on here. We can double tap in the words to change any of these words. If we want any of these shifted around, we just like a PowerPoint, like you would in Google Slides, is you just highlight it and move it. Something that we might want to do is to select all of these words. So if we wanted to select all of the words, we would left click and drag. So see how it's left clicking and dragging, it just picked up the wakeboarding box, and it's going to pick up using devices and then the cats. And then I released it and it has these all together. So we can do all sorts of things with it now. We can make them a consistent size by looking at the the font size up here. We could change all of their font by looking at the font. We could group them together so that when we shift these, we shift all of them together if we wanted to move things around. So we could do that with these pictures as well, following that same process. And you don't have to do it over the top of it, even just going through it will highlight those. So you see going through and coming down, and we got all of these. So now if I wanted to shift these, I just left click and it shifts all of them together. And if I went, oh, I didn't actually like where that was, I'm going to undo, and that's where it initially sat. So that's how to group things. And let's say I don't want to group all, and I want to make some changes, then if I want to group them together, I go group at the top here next to position, and you've got some other tabs. And then if I didn't want them grouped and I wanted something else, I just ungroup them. Just nice and easy. So when you see that, when you see this dotted line and some things have a solid border around them, it means they're grouped with something. And if you're struggling with shifting something, then that's when you need to ungroup things, particularly if you want to add another box or something like that underneath it.
It's also worth noting as well, Vic, if you were to group the words wakeboarding, using devices, cats, 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 and then group the 3 images together, if you've got 2 groups together, you can't merge them.
Oh,
so now
cool.
if you've made those words into a group and then tried to add the images to the group, it won't work as Canva currently stands. They may update this. You'll have to ungroup the first lot and then
right.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Great. So uploading a picture. So if we wanted to put a picture in here, I just put these words here so we knew what to put in there. You can have a look at uploading. So let's get a couple of things that you can do. You can either go to the internet search that you had just before and download a picture, or this is generally what you would do from like if you were putting a kid's photo. It's not going to be freely found on the internet, I would hope. So you will have this based on your computer. So if we have a practice of what that might look like. So if you download an image, so save image as, wakeboarding, and I'm just going to put that to my desktop so it's nice and easy to find. And then and feel free to let me know if I'm going too fast or if you want me to slow down, or please do it at the same time. Then you get to experience this and it's not just someone talking to you. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to uploads. And I'm going to upload my media. Record yourself in there, it's pretty cool. I guess you use your camera, a little bit scary, but that's okay. So I want to upload that photo of the wakeboarding, and I know I downloaded it to my desktop. And it is,
It looks like it's yelling at you, but I can't tell. On the bottom left of your screen, I see a red wakeboarding can't be downloaded securely.
oh, okay, right, got you.
What about a picture of yourself or me? I'm gorgeous. Why don't you use that picture of me that's already sitting there?
Oh, here we go. So yeah, let's upload another photo.
Let's do it different.
Where did I save that? So these are all my pictures of random things. Where did your picture go, Kate?
I have no idea what you did or how you got here. I'm going to be honest. No clue.
Or maybe it's in, oh, I think I just right-clicked it from Facebook. So I stalked you. Okay, so let's say I want to put my picture up there. So I've selected a picture, I'll double click on it and it's going to bring it up and it pulls it in straight away. So it's just that easy. Once it's there, as Kate said, probably the easiest way is to bring it over and sit it on top. Maybe
If
it won't
it's
do
not a
that.
frame or there's no existing photo, then no.
Right.
'Cause it's not a
Okay.
photo frame. Otherwise, yeah, you'll need to sort of delete that copy that you have there, the words there, and or yeah, move them, whatever. And
So
then
let's
when you
delete that.
drop the photo, you can resize it instead. Yeah.
So I just left clicked to bring it in, and then just resize to put in the frame. And it's a good way just so that the teachers have a picture of the child that they're working with. And next to it, I found this quite helpful in how some strategies that they could use that works for them in the All About Me. So these are just some particular ones that worked for this lad. Feel free to modify and adjust those according to perhaps some of those recommendations that you might use when you're closing a case. So we've looked at, I'm just having a think about how else to edit here. Does anyone have any questions about how to manipulate this or to change this around, or anything about what we've done so far, or something else that you would like to know, or what if, or any of those sort of things? Feel free to unmute yourself.
The template that you that we've just been having a tutu on, V, did you create that or did you take a template from Canva?
Yeah, great question. So I took a template from Canva and I adjusted, I changed nearly everything on it, to be honest. It had a number of sections, and I liked that it had sections. And sometimes when I go into Canva, and now that I use it a lot, I'm able to go, okay, I just need an idea about how to do things, and it might just be faster for me to create it rather than to modify what's there. So in this case, yeah, I looked at the general scheme of things and then made it my own. And then when I went to, and this is something that if you guys wanted to share this in your cluster or with your people once you've created something like this, and this is in the free version, so it's all like this as well. So just went to share, and then I wanted to share this as a template so that other people, it automatically made a copy rather than 10 people being on this particular template. So that's why, you know, that might be something handy to know when you're sharing something.
So the template that you've shared with us,
yep,
we're not going to affect
anyone else's or mine or
okay,
anything. No,
yeah,
because
cool.
it's and it's made that and you'll probably see that it's called copy of All About Me template. Yours will be called that as well.
Okay.
So you can rename that to be whatever you want it to be, and you do that by just clicking up here and going new All About Me. So you can go in and change what your template that you've just been having a little tutorial with. Now you can go in and rename yours by doing that.
And you can also share collaboratively too if you want to as well. I'm sure Vic can show you how to do that, but you can invite with you.
Oh, is that right? So 4 of my colleagues could be all working on a template together?
Yes.
So can you only share it with people that have got a Canva subscription, or can you share it outside of, with people that haven't got Canva?
Nikita, have you got that?
Sure. So if you have Canva Pro, which is the paid version, if you've used Pro or paid elements, to have someone else edit it, they also have to have the Pro elements. But if you have a free account and you share it with somebody, they can just have a free account. So they obviously will need an account with Canva to use it, but it essentially free on free, paid on paid. And if you do have a pro account, as long as you've used all free versions, it sometimes will let you, but it is a bit glitchy. So best to just pick one or the other.
And did you say, Nikita, that this the education login that we've got, that is the pro version?
No idea, Vic. That's your trouble.
So that's a great question. I've got the pro version, and I haven't done the Canva education. I just came across and I went, hey, this is something that people probably should know how to use. But it did say that it gives you access to all of the pro things. So I guess, a good way to find out is just to use it and see what happens.
Cool,
and when you go to add an element, it comes up with a little picture underneath it with a crown, and it says pro. And so if you have the education account, it should give you a bit of an idea as to what you can use and what might be a little bit out of limits for you, and see what happens. So I think it did say that you're able to access all of those pro features. So I would have a go and see what happens, which probably means in the download. So just up in this top right-hand side, next to share is a download button. And you can download. And I've logged in on my free account just to make sure that you guys could access everything that's here. Oftentimes you pay and download, and it's like pay per use kind of thing. But a little sneaky way to get around it is to download a free watermarked draft. So when I downloaded this one in particular, what came up was all of this, and where this picture was, it had watermarks across there. So that must be a paid version of that. So it'll watermark things that are not free, which is the only thing. But pretty much everything is, this is just text. That's just a line. Those texts and those lines are free. There's nothing particularly weird or crazy here. These are just images mostly from the elements. So if I wanted to, I just typed in cats I went to the elements on the left-hand side and just went up to that little magnifying glass, and I just typed in cats and press enter, and all of the cat things come up. So
you can filter these as well. If you just want photos, up the top there, you'll see it says all photos, graphics, videos, all is every result. Photos are just the images. Graphics are things that are like the animations, usually drawings, and sometimes they'll move. So you can see that cat's having a boogie, having a bit of a dance with a butterfly, I think, I don't know. So yes, you can, if you're wanting something in particular, you can filter it out. Otherwise, all will just show you everything with cats in it.
You can add videos. You can insert videos from YouTube. Not particularly relevant for this infographic, but when we're talking about presentations and things like that, for sure you can add in videos to be sitting on here, or in your presentation that it has. You can pop a video in there. So I've used Canva for my narration for course 2, because it asked about why you select each of the modules and have a talk about stuff. So I've used Canva as a presentation and inserted the videos, and then when I go to, and this is probably a little bit further down, but you can select all of the different ways to, and when you have the paid version, the paid version has a possibility to, and you might be able to access this with the excuse me, with the education, is that you can download it to a website, which means it opens the whole presentation on a website, and all of the videos are active and people can click through, and it's interactive still, but shared as a link. So it's a pretty cool way to do something there as well. So
the premium features, essentially, when you download it, if you don't care if there's a watermark on it, it's free to pretty much use even the paid elements. It's just whether or not you want it to say Canva across the photo. I work in marketing with clients, small businesses who don't have the money to sort of pay for a Canva Pro account. So they'll make content for social media that's just like Canva all over it. And they don't really care because you can't really see if it's part of the background. If you're going to use it a lot, definitely get the Pro version. Otherwise, yeah, like Vic said, you can just also just pay as you go as like a one-off licensing fee. Oh, and do you want to show them how to share if they do want to collaborate with someone else? Because we've showed them how to share a copy.
Fantastic. So if I'd like, actually, let's show you into this. Can you see the template that the presentation? Yep. So if I said, here's how I'm going to share this and let's all collaborate on it. So I'll go up into the share and I'll just type your email addresses. So what's your email address there, Leah? Can you type that and put it in the chat, and then I'll just copy and paste it over onto the into here and share it with you to show you what that looks like.
Bye, Sandy.
See you, Sandy. Thanks for joining us. Oh, cool. So I'm just copying, Leah, yours. And
over on the right next to where that email address is, you see there's a drop-down menu as well. So you can choose to have someone just view it when you type in their email address, or you can choose to have them edit.
So if we put Carol's in there as well. So when we put this in, so over here, so I could say you can just view it or you can edit it. So feel free to, and you can add a little message, kind of like how you share on Google anything. It does the same kind of thing. It sends you an invite.
And so I don't know if you saw that, but Vic ticked a box. So you can have teams. So you can invite someone to join your team and they'll essentially have access to everything you make in that team. But if you don't tick that box, they will have access only to that document. So they can either join your team or just join that document.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Kate and Eve.
And now you guys should be able to, I think you'll probably just get an email, but you can get in there. Oh, yep, see Liz there. Yep, I can see it in the top right on Vic's screen share, the like names.
Oh, yeah, so coming up here.
So how do we get into that? Like we've been sent an invite, where do we go to accept the invite?
It should be an email. Yeah, you'll see a link, sort of like what I popped in the chat. And you just click that and it should automatically pull you over there.
Oh, welcome to the document, Eve. So now what you guys can do, since you're part of this document, is you could copy your page. So you could duplicate the page. So just by those little 3 dots that come up down the bottom and duplicate. Feel free to put your own name in there and make your own document, make your own certificate. And then you can just print that page. Nikita is not cool, just by the way. No, Nikita is well cool, thank you.
It's live, sort of like if you are familiar with Google Workspace or working on any Google things together collaboratively, same thing. So if I start typing while you're looking at that page, you'll see me type. You'll see that happen live, the changes that that made, and vice versa. So if you're doing something silly and something like that, just know that your coworkers who are all collaborating with you can see you typing how cool you are. So just ahead of time, don't want to be caught out.
I just realized it's my other private email that's in Canva, not my Wellington one, but that's okay. I now know how it's been sent and how I can accept.
Okay, did you want to put your other one in? Yep. If you would like to, or it doesn't matter either way, but
yep, there it is.
And this is probably a good one to practice some of that like element distortion and things like that as well, because we can all sort of play together and move things around. And you can also then, you know, with sort of like those wobbly bits that we've got on Vic's screen there, you know, when you're moving them around, you'll find those guidelines that Vic was talking about, where like those purple lines, and it helps you sort of know if you're center or if they align. So this is a good one because there's so many different elements on this page. It's probably good if you guys, you know, just sitting there right now to just press buttons and see what happens.
Yeah, just create another page. And what I've done on my screen is I've created this from a template. So I went to templates on the top left hand side, and I think I typed in minimalist, which is strange because it's not really minimalist, but I typed in something in there and it came up, and this has 24 possible slides. And so I just selected the ones I wanted to use and I applied. So if I wanted to create a new page and I wanted it to be this one, I can add it as a new page, or I can replace the current one. So I add it as a new page. And now what this does, so a lot of these presentations that are already on here have some inbuilt buttons. So if I put this into the presentation and press present, if I copied this button and pasted it onto the presentation, so if I copy that and let's say I wanted that on this page, and Command V to paste it. When I present this, if I press C on my keyboard, oh man, I hope this doesn't make a liar out of me. Let's see. If I press C, confetti falls like magic. So, you know, it just adds some extra things to your template. So any of those templates, particularly for presentations, they'll have the last couple of slides will be elements that you can add that make it a little bit more interactive, a bit, oh, bam, you know, cool stuff. So it shows you, when you're in the templates, it shows you how many slides there are in each of them. And if you just let your mouse hover over them, it'll give you a little, it'll just give you a little look at what they're going to look like.
Also a hot tip for those buttons, Vic. If you didn't want people to know you had a cheeky button there, how Vic has put it on that pink blob, if she changed all those elements to be the same color as the pink blob that they're sitting on, you won't be able to see it when she's presenting. So it's a kind of sneaky way to add it in and people thinking that you're a magical wizard or something, by changing each element to a different color where possible.
So if I change that text to blue, oh, that's document color. Yep. Then you can't see it. And then when I present, just still pressing that letter will make that happen.
And now you're magic.
And now I'm way magic.
Sorry, V, did you push the C on your keyboard
On my
and it made
keyboard.
the confetti drop?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So on that
Okay.
on that page, you can do all of these. So if you want it to blur, you press the B. So you just copy and paste that element over onto your page. If you want bubbles to go over your page, you want it to close. If you want to, whatever, there's a drum roll. This is pretty cool. It sets up a timer. So I found when you're presenting in, just for our RTLB cluster, when we all get together and do up a presentation, if you want people to have a move seats or have a chat with a person next to you, whatever, if you put that onto your page, then if you want that, so from 0 to 9, so it means you can do 0 to 9 minutes. So if you want people to have a talk for 1 minute, so you put that on your page and just press the number 1, it'll set a timer that'll count down for 1 minute, and it'll do a little buzzer thing when it goes off, so you know your minute's up. So it just helps when you're doing those live presentations. It's quite handy. So I just wanted to show you excuse me, so sorry. Just around this doc here, when you download, so there was just something that funny that I noticed that came up here. So let's all go, okay, let's download our document, our infographic that we've got now. So in order to do that, you go up to the top right-hand side, the little download arrow. So if you, all of you do that now, and let's download a free watermarked draft. Click on that, you'll notice this is happening down on, and it'll say it's downloaded. You can just close that box. You don't need that box. It's just a bit of advertising stuff. And this is what it looks like now. So if you click on it, when it comes up, it'll show you what your PDF, because it'll download as a PDF, what your PDF looks like. If you wanted to print that then, for me, I will go to the top right-hand side where the little print button is. And I've changed the settings before. And I went into, so the more settings on mine, I'm not 100% sure what it's on yours, but for mine, if I didn't want it in black and white, let's say I want it in color, because color is more interesting. On the scale, so the default, when you hit default, so this is all it will print. So if you leave it at default, you're going to have half of the document. So it's really important that when you go to print, you go into the more settings and you want to change the scale. So it's not default, but it fits the printable area. So click, and then that is what gets printed from here. Okay, so just really, really important. Otherwise you will end up with half the document and you'll be wasting your time and your printer money if that is the case. So jumping back into, sorry, all over the place, but there's one thing that I want to show you that's really important about Canva is we're going to go over to elements, and can you do this as we go? So if you add elements, and this will be one of the last things that we show. So get rid of my cats. We've got elements. And in lines and shapes, this is probably one of the biggest things that I use in this particular doc. So lines and shapes, and I'm going to select a box. And I left clicked on it and it brought the box in. The reason why I want a box is because when I print this, this is going to be black. And there's going to be all sorts of things that's going to be a bit of a challenge for printing. So I selected a box and I brought it across. I'm going to change the color of my box by clicking in this color that's just next to the animate. I'm making my box white, hopefully. Now, before I get too excited, when I put this box and I shift it over this whole document, any text that is white is going to, you're not going to be able to see it. So can you guys get on your document and can you change all of your text that is white and change it to black? So how you do that is you just left click on it to say, hey, I'm talking about this. And then next to the number, which is the size, is an A that says text color. If you hover over it, it'll tell you. And then your text colors will pop up over on the left-hand side and choose a black. It'll disappear for the moment, but you see, it hasn't gone away. It's just that it's black and it's blending in with the background.
Also, instead of having to do it one at a time, Vic,
Yep.
if you, what else do you need to change to black?
All of these guys.
Great. So do the wakeboarding text. So just click on that text box. It says wakeboarding.
Yep.
Do the same as you did where you change the font color to black. And while that font window is open, once she presses black, down the very bottom of that panel, you'll see it says change all. You can change everything that is white in the document to black. Yeah, so just press change all and it'll bloop, and they'll all be the same.
Awesome, except for it didn't do this guy because...
Don't know.
Not sure. Cool. So we'll just select that and make that black as well. So have you guys got all of your white text black now? No?
No, I haven't I'm finding it difficult to swap between watching what you're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
and then getting
Okay.
mine up. So I'm just listening. I've just
Okay.
given up and I'm
No
listening.
worries. That's okay.
Otherwise I'm missing what you're pointing at.
Yeah, no, I understand. How are
Hence
you
the
traveling,
video.
Leah? Are you following this?
I'm on the white text, but I can't remember how you got the box.
Yeah, cool. So on your text, let me just change this back to white. So I selected the box, and then down the bottom, it says change all black to white.
How did you get to that text, that color box? I missed
Yeah,
that.
great question. So I just selected the text box that I want to change the color.
Yes.
And then this A
Oh,
that's
that was
got a
just the
little
same.
multi thing under, I
Yep.
selected that, and then it came up on the left-hand side.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And I selected black, and because I did that before. So if I make it white first again, and then, so once I selected it, it says anything that's black, do you want to make white? And I'll go change all, or the vice versa as well. So I want to make this black. And that was the only one that needed to be changed anyway.
Nice.
All good?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got this box that's still sitting over here. So now we're going to bring this into play, and we're going to make it so that we've got a bit of a margin. So I've just placed it over, and then it's got these little grab tabs on the side here. So I'm just going to stretch it over and then drag it down. And there's more there, so don't be fooled.
You'll know too that you're on the right tab or the right section of the box to stretch, because your cursor will move from its regular shape to like a double-ended arrow. And that's how you know you're hovering over the right spot to click, so that when you do click, it will drag whichever direction you drag the mouse.
So it goes from this arrow to a double arrow.
See, now that I don't have a screen sharing on, I'm realizing how ridiculous it sounds to describe all of this. With a visual, because I'm like, it turns my cursor like a double arrow. Like, it just sounds so silly. So thankfully you're there to help us.
Okay. Good team. Good team. So now this is sitting about, and we've blocked out, we've lost our pictures, we've lost our lines. So what we want to do is we want to send this box that we just put over the top of nearly everything, we want to send it to the back. So we're going to right click on it and send it to the back. And that brought all of our writing forward, brought all of our pictures forward.
You can also, when you have an element highlighted, if you don't want to right click, the top right, you'll see on Vic's screen, it says position. You can also be a bit more picky with your other position options. So what Vic could do is select the box, press position, make a selection. Once she's happy, then she can lock it. So then when you keep pressing buttons or doing things in this document, you now won't move the white box. Like we learned how to lock it at the very start.
So we would lock this if we don't want this. Once we have it, we're happy with that, we'd lock it. So now we have something that is printable. How did I get the box? Great question. So over on the left-hand side, you've got, of your Canva, you've got templates and elements. So it's in elements, if you click elements. Okay. And then it's in lines and shapes. So there's a whole heap of lines and shapes. If you click on see all, it'll show you everything that is a possibility to use there. I just find that just that first real basic, this is a box. It doesn't have curved edges or anything weird. Then it's just real plug and play kind of stuff, and it's free. So you can use this for anything. In doing something like this too, this is how you can define your areas instead of using those lines. So if you wanted to use boxes and you wanted to say, I want this section to be white. And then I want this next section to be blue, and then white and blue. Like if you wanted to color code it that way, you can do that. There's another possibility just up in the top right hand side. You've got a few options here. You've got this transparency. And what this transparency does is if you click on that and you can change the transparency. So whatever is underneath will come through. So it changes its color, is going gray because of the black that's coming through. So transparency is quite good. So if you have some pictures that sit that you want underneath your text, but not so in your face, changing the transparency of them is quite handy. So we're just using this so that when we print this document, it's not going to use all of our black ink and no one's going to get upset with us.
You can also use, Vic, on the left-hand side where you've got all your lines and shapes open.
Yeah.
You can, if you move your cursor down a little bit, you'll see there's just an outline of a box. That one. You can also use that to create.
Okay.
So with the hollow square, I guess we'll call it, the hollow box. Essentially, when you drag it from the corner edges, that will make it thicker or thinner. So if you, as she gets it bigger to make it fit, the lines of the box get really thick. So it's best to actually get the thickness you want first by dragging it out, dragging it in, making it big and small from those corners to choose how thick you want it to be. And then using the not cornered tabs to put it in the right placement as well. And that way, and that can sometimes be a bit easier than using a box, but it really depends on your needs, how many elements you have, and sort of what you're most comfortable using. But that is as a second option as well.
Awesome. So now that there's a white overlay over the top of it, when I go to download this, download the free version, it'll come up down on that bottom left-hand side. So this is what's going to print now. So a bit more user-friendly, particularly when it comes to printing and having it on file for the child. So a couple of ways, just depending on how it's viewed as well and what kind of things that you want to look at. So that is all that we're going through. We've been here for an hour and I don't want to fill up with so many things. And so it's really powerful when you're having a look around, and I highly recommend having a look in templates, particularly for those people who have the education. If you look at templates, and if let's say you want to type in science, even have a look and have a go now. So if you go to templates, and I'm a science teacher, so I always like to have a squiz around there, press enter. There are lesson plans on here. There are apparatuses. There's all sorts of things. This is just in the infographics. Remember so I'm on the infographics as are you. If I wanted to create another page of this, I can just press up in the top right-hand side here, just near the comment button, is to add a page. So if I wanted to add a page, here's my second page. And let's say I wanted to put in, something free. You got photosynthesis, you've got states of matter, there's tsunami facts, about tornadoes, about photosynthesis, phases of the moon. There's a whole heap of things. That's a pro version. Here's a free one. So once you have these in here, and you might want to change it to whatever topic you want, but you like the layout of it, you might say, oh, okay, well, this might be really nice to use as a this, then, and then kind of intervention. So this might be how you create those sort of things. And on your next pages, just have those images that you can print and then just go print that document and it's all ready to go. So that's another way that you might use something like this. But there's
do you know if that styles option is available on the free account over on the left of Excels where it says styles? Is that feature free on?
Yeah, so I'm using in this here? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Because you can, again, I'm not sure if in the free version it's available, but you can set your own. So if your classroom, for example, is use a particular font or something, so it's familiar for kids, or I don't know how teaching works. I'm just making things up as I go. But you can preset stuff so that if you do want to just grab a template, if you put your presets, style you've preset, or like here you can see they've got some already set and offered as well. You just click a button and automatically apply those fonts and colors to the document as well. So that's like a really quick way to just boop, pop it in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sorry, as you were.
No, that's all. It's great to have little tips as you go through. So these are all, anything that you put in there is, there's a lot of pros. So it'd be great to know if the free education version allows you to access these as well. That when you download it, then it's all good. So we're going to leave it here because this could, yeah, you're right. It is very handy for dyslexic students, and you can set those fonts, you can choose your fonts, you can do all sorts of things in through there. So it's a great way to help neurodiverse students to come online, to go, here's another way to manage for them to go through. And it's also, remember, this is a free version as well, and there's no reason why kids couldn't use something like this to create their own. Like if they were talking about, even if we said that this was perhaps, this was, I'll show you now. I'm not sure if I'm sharing this or not. Can you see? You can see my strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I created this as just a bit of a look through, as something that I might give to one of my students when finishing up, to say, okay, here is your little book, here's your bookmark that will go in your book, and these are strategies that they selected, so that they found these things worked for them, and these were ways to remind them about what they could do proactively to manage their own situations. And I created also one of these for the teacher, and I put the student's name up the top, and I said, student's name, learning strategies, how to help them control their learning. So it was things like preloading and providing multiple ways to access the information, having something they could go and look back at, inserting a video clip or a link so that they could watch that in their own time to review if they didn't understand. So this is another way that I use to help students with it.
And we just have confirmation in the chat room that Styles is available on the free version.
Okay, fantastic. Leah. Kay, from Kay to everyone. Who was Kay? Nikita. No.
Kay, it's me, V.
Kay, it's Christina. Good to see you, mate. Good job.
Hiya.
So is there any more questions before we go?
No, thank you very much, V. That's been really useful just to get my head around at least, some aspects of it.
Yeah.
I opened it up, I looked at it and thought, where do I start? And kind of promptly left it again because the study is consuming as it is. I didn't want to go down to any more rabbit holes, but I do think it'll be useful for a couple of things I want to use for interventions. So that's really good. Yeah. And who was it that said what they had to do to get the education version? Because I just saw I've been declined as well. What did you do to get that?
Leah, you got this?
That was me, Carol. If you jump onto these comments, you'll see what I sent through, and I probably overloaded, but I've been rejected twice by that stage. So I just wanted to get Canva before we had this PLD with V, because I've been hearing about it, and I am a retard when it comes to IC, so I need all the help I can get. So I'm loving this. I am loving this so far. I can't wait to get off and have a little tutty, because I think that's when it'll really start to sink in.
And I think that's
V.
no problems, mate. Just really happy to help, and thank you so much, Nikita for
Yes.
your support and your little tips and tricks and for helping us out with that too. That's been awesome.
Thanks for letting me talk about whatever I wanted whenever I felt like it. It's my favorite.
How we roll.
Just V, can you just give a couple of examples of other ways that you've used this? I love the way that you've used it at the end of a case just to wrap up the learning for the mokopuna, and I love the way that you've done those learning strategies, and I can see how it will work for, you know, first then, and you know, keeping kids on track with, you know, the visual prompts that they need. What other ways are you using it? I know that you're using it for presentations, but I'm sure there's a million other cool ways of using it that I can't think of. What else do you recommend using it for?
Sorry, V, I've made posters that I've handed out in my, and you know, that last PD we did, I've made a poster that I handed out, stuff like that.
We've got Rebecca Antipas in our cluster 28. She's kind of gone full hog with it and down a big deep rabbit hole. She made a trauma poster after doing one of the modules on trauma, and she put all the hyperlinks in it, and it's got like, it's just massive. It's like four big pages of all these links for trauma, and she sent it to me and I downloaded it, and now I've used it for a couple of Senkos. I've said, oh, I've got these kids with trauma. I'm like, hey, wait, look at this. And now it's like a one-stop shop for all the things we know with all the best practice in them. And it's just amazing.
Excuse me,
I looked at it and went, wow. No idea.
Yeah, so
that, but yeah.
Definitely. For we also used it for our cluster brochure, for our parents brochure, to say, here's our RTLB, here's you know, here's what we do, here's how we got our name, here's where we sit in the cluster, here's why we're here and how we can help, and here's some things that you can help when you have engaged with an RTLB. So it's just that, you know, creating it on there was nice and easy for me, and I just found that Canva has a bit more flexibility and usability than your stock standard Google Slides or you know, Publisher is a bit hardcore. I just find that this is real plug and play kind of stuff as well.
And I don't know if this is relevant as well, but Vic has made before sort of like little exercises in sort of like a program almost that explain, you know, I think it's for the kids. I think this was just back when you were teaching, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, and it was sort of, you know, if kids have got super high energy, here are some things that we can do. But it was like done as a fun game to share with the kids directly. And you could either turn that into a poster or a booklet. So that it does depend as well with Canva. When you have the pro account, you can automatically, with a click of a button, say resize it. So if you make something as a poster, you can click resize and make it into a square, and it'll automatically do that. So that also helps as well if you want to transfer things around or turn it, you know, make it easier for email. So I know that Vic's used it in a lot of ways, both from a professional adult to adult situation, but also like with kids as well. So I'll leave you alone. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I did, I created a resource for those high energy ADHD kind of kids. And it was 15 large muscle exercises that the kids could use. So you could have them, and I've shared them with teachers that I've been working with as well, where they used them in a couple of different ways. One of the ways they used them was to put them up at little stations around the room, so that, you know, the kids could self-manage when they go, I've got some energy I need to get rid of. They could go to those stations and do the activity. It had a brief little picture and some accessible language that they could use to do whatever they needed to do. So it was things like wall press ups and prayer pose, and, you know, pushing as hard as you can and doing that for 30 seconds, and wall sits, you know, shifting some big bags of books from one spot to another. Just those kind of things where they could be proactive, or they had them in a card slide shuffle, and they were just randomly allocated. The kids were randomly allocated them, or they could come pick their favorite one, or, you know, just there's lots of ways that you can use things like that as well.
And a kids book to explain COVID.
Oh yeah, I created a book, you know, when we had our first lockdown, just to say here's COVID and here's what it looked like. And on Canva, it just made it nicer to look at than you know, just the other standard kind of things.
Sorry, there was a couple ideas I thought of in case you forgot. Okay, put them on the spot.
Legend.
Good to know.
Great. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for taking the time to join in and be part of this. And you know, this was just because I saw a need more than anything. I just wanted to help. So thanks for helping, and feel free to share the love. So I will on our uni on that initial post, I'll just put a link to this video and a link for or you guys already shared in here, but I'll put a link for other people to be able to access those slides just as a PDF, and then feel free to share through here, and have yourselves a good last week before holidays.
Woohoo! Don't forget to stop recording. Woohoo! Holiday!
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.